Today's Morning First Alert Weather Show is brought to you by Sam Bernstein Law.
Welcome on in on this Thursday morning. I'm First Alert meteorologist Matthew Mondro here with your First Alert weather show. We're talking some details on the forecast here, especially tracking some of the snow showers. And we are also going to be tracking some wind for tomorrow too. After a bit of this active weather right at the end of the work week here, we do have a quieter weekend ahead, so we can also discuss that a little bit too. But I do want to talk about the snow that we have moving into mid-Michigan right now. The snowfall picked up at about 8 o'clock this morning, first starting up in some of our northern spots, places like West Branch or Houghton Lake. That's a live look at Houghton Lake. You actually see an ice fisher driving right off the water, right off the ice right now. But in Houghton Lake, it has been snowing for a few hours as of this point. Took a little while for the snow to get started just because there was some dry air fighting against it. And that dry air is actually one of the things that is going to fight against the snow pretty much all day for today. I also do have another spot to show you here in regard to roadways. So this right here is I-75 in West Branch. This is right around mile marker 217, so this is just over to the west of West Branch. But you notice this here, how we do have that snow that is sticking to parts of the roadway. But we aren't exactly seeing it completely snow covered. There are still some tire tracks there, and as temperatures continue to make their way up into the 20s today, road salt will work very effectively. So while I'll still caution you to some slushy spots, some slick spots here and there, really not expecting major holdups at any point for today because these temperatures are going to be working in our favor as far as the road conditions go and melting away any of the snow that falls on the pavement too. I'll go ahead and take you back over to Houghton Lake again because I also do want to show you a few other locations in mid-Michigan. So let's move over to US 10. That's right at the Fabiano Brothers building, right near Mackinac Road. You can see the snow has finally started to reach the ground there between Midland and Bay City. Let's go ahead and move over to downtown Flint. So downtown Flint, on the other hand, one spot here where we still don't have the snow falling just yet. It actually looks pretty dry. It's been a very quiet morning in Flint so far. We actually did have temps briefly down into the single digits sub-zero range this morning in Flint because there were some clear skies there. That's I-75 in Birch Run that you're looking at now. You can see in Birch Run still not snowing quite yet, and I do have one more camera to show you. I-75, this is in Flint Township near Miller Road. So again, around Flint, the snow hasn't exactly reached there just yet. So with the snowfall here, again, it's going to be fighting against a lot of dry air, especially initially, so we'll have a lot of cloudy skies, kind of these gloomy looking skies like this, and you'll see this here on the First Alert Pinpoint Doppler 2. We just have some snow that's aloft currently in the Flint area, so even though it's showing up on the radar, it's actually not reaching the ground quite yet. The snow is reaching the ground, however, like we saw between Midland and Bay City along US 10, should be reaching the ground now around Coleman and Clare, right up towards Harrison, Gladwin, West Branch, Houghton Lake, all of these areas. So this is that snow coming through, but also look just off to the west behind that. Notice that there is this big hole in the coverage of the snowfall, and that's something that we've seen ever since early this morning, since we were tracking the system, because this snowfall started up way early this morning, around 2 or 3 o'clock in Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula. So we've been watching it come in from the northwest throughout this entire morning, and that's also been the same case throughout the entire morning, is that when we've been looking at it on the Sky Tracker, there were a lot of holes punched in the snowfall just because that dry air is kind of working things away from it as well. So this is going to work to reduce some of the snowfall totals, and even from the get-go here, we weren't really expecting a lot of snow out of today or tomorrow. Still enough that we are forecasting some spotty delays on our roadway, so still something to bear in mind, maybe if you have some errands to run for the afternoon. But I definitely do not think this is going to be a situation where, say, we have some really heavy winter storm that comes through and roads will be very difficult to travel. I don't think that'll entirely be the case here at all. Seeing in the comments here on Facebook, Hernando Zamora saying, thank you for the update. Just started to snow here in Akron. Perfect. Thank you for the report on that. Good to know. And also Nicole Stachursky, sorry for mispronouncing that there a little bit, started snowing in Freeland too. So also thank you for the report. It's good to see, or good to get some ground verification with this too. So I'll actually take you right back to the pinpoint Doppler again, and we can zoom in on some of those spots. So we'll zoom in closer to the Freeland area. So indeed, looks like we have some snow starting to move through there, and that lines up with what we saw from the Fabiano Brothers building along US 10, and then over to Akron in northern Tuscola County. Also looks like we have some light snow that's moving overhead. So won't take too much longer for some of these spots, even Birch Run or Chesaning, for example. Chesaning especially, if you don't have snow falling yet, I don't think it'll be too much longer, maybe only 5 to 10 minutes, because you already have this showing up overhead on the radar. But let's talk about these snow totals here. So we're only talking about 1 to 2 inches between both today and tomorrow. So this is that combined total, really 1 inch or less today and then 1 inch or less tomorrow morning. So I know these totals aren't really too extreme, and we did previously have 1 to 3 inches, so we're kind of splitting hairs here as well. But really just not expecting today or tomorrow's snowfall to be able to amount to very much. So that's the latest that I have for you with that snowfall map. Again, that goes from noon today to noon tomorrow, realistically right now until noon for tomorrow. But following up the snowfall tomorrow, one of the big things will be the wind. I do want to first alert you to a strong northwest wind. Some of these gusts will be able to reach 30 to 35 miles per hour during the second half of the daytime. So just something to keep in mind too. Maybe if you have any travel to do for the weekend, you will have a pretty strong northwest wind while you're out there on the roadway. So especially if you're heading north tomorrow, you will have quite a bit of a headwind on I-75 or on 127. But this wind is going to take these temperatures down. So we'll go from the mid-30s tomorrow to just 1 degree by Saturday morning. And then once we go into the weekend, we'll see temps mainly into the teens. So it is still expected to be a cold weekend, and then more 30s will eventually be on the way for next week too. But with these temperatures, and I'll even take you to a current temperature map for our area, and temperatures have already just started to make their way into the 20s in some spots. Now that I have this loaded up, I'll take you over to the map. About 21 all throughout the Bay region, 18 in Flint, 26 right now being shown in Mount Pleasant. So with these temperatures too, again, road salt is going to work very effectively. And then for tomorrow, we'll start off the day tomorrow with temps in the low 20s, and then they'll make their way up to about 34 by tomorrow afternoon. So again, road salt will work very well here, which is why I do expect a lot of our roadways where the snow is sticking to really just melt away as quickly as it falls. And again, that's I-75 near West Branch, just to take you back there again. Good example of this, where the road is not completely snow covered. And meteorologist Stone Schaefer and I were actually just looking at some of the MDOT cameras up around Gaylord as well. One area that's also seen some snow this morning, and while you can definitely tell that it did snow there this morning, the roadway surfaces on I-75 and Gaylord are completely clear. They're just wet because of the treatments that have been put down. So if you have anywhere to go today, I'd still say maybe give yourself a couple of extra minutes, but I don't think it's going to be one of those days where your drive or any errands that you run where it's going to take twice as long as it normally would. But after this, again, we do have some quieter weather on the forefront here in the forecast for the weekend and as we go into next week. We'll take a quick break here real quick, and when we come back from the break, we'll talk a bit more about the weekend and next week and just what to expect with some temperatures going forward from here. Alrighty, welcome back from the break. So we are still tracking some snow for today and tomorrow. Temperatures a little bit up and down here, and as we go forward, you will notice temperatures kind of on a roller coaster through the weekend and as we go into next week. And also, before we get into the temps real quick too, just checking in on some more comments on the Facebook live stream. Cherry Hetrick from Gladwin saying that it's been snowing there since 9 this morning. So thank you for the report. That's also good to know. And Becky saying good morning. So good morning, Becky. Hope you've been having a good Thursday so far. But again, let's talk about these temperatures. So a high of 25 for today. We do have a southwest wind that's going to gust to about 20 miles per hour, but it is that wind that does help to take these temps into the mid-20s. So we're a little bit closer to average for today. Average is 30. And then if we look ahead to the highs tomorrow, 34 degrees. So tomorrow is actually going to be the warmest day that we've had in nearly 3 weeks. Above freezing, of course, at 34. The last time we had any above freezing temperature in mid-Michigan was almost 3 weeks ago. It was on Saturday, January 17th, so it's been quite a long stretch since then. Indeed, very impressive stretch of cold weather, but we should briefly break the streak tomorrow with these temps making their way to the low to mid 30s. But again, don't let the small warm-up, if you want to call it a warm-up, don't let that fool you tomorrow, because again, the weekend is going to be cold. We have that low of 1 tomorrow night. Then we have a high of only 16 on Saturday, so it's also worth noting that Saturday morning we're going to have wind chills that are sub-zero. So quite a frigid start to the weekend on Saturday morning. As we go into Sunday, after that high of 16 Saturday, then we have a high of 21 on Sunday. So pretty cold as we go throughout the weekend, but you see there the forecast is actually pretty quiet. We should have a decent amount of sun on Saturday, and then Sunday there are a few isolated snow showers in the forecast. It does not look to be really anything too widespread or prolific throughout the day there on Sunday, but we still can't rule out at least a few snow showers or even just a few flurries from time to time. And even going into next week, and I will actually skip right up to Wednesday, you see how we have isolated wintry mix there. Around the middle of next week, Wednesday, potentially Thursday, those will be some days to pay attention to because we have seen at least some potential for a system to come in that could actually bring some rainfall with it too. So of course the rain mixing with some snow, so we get that wintry mix. So that's something to watch towards Wednesday or maybe Thursday. A better chance for some wet weather. It is still a bit early for that right now, but you can see up until that point, a pretty quiet forecast even into Monday and Tuesday. And those temperatures will rebound again after the weekend. So we have 29 on Monday and then low 30s for Tuesday and Wednesday. And I really do think 30s will be a bit more of the norm even for the rest of next week, potentially even next weekend as well. This right here on your screen, this is the longer range temperature outlook, February 10th to February 14th. So this takes us right up into next weekend, and you see that not even only for Michigan, but for almost the entire country, it's highlighting a greater chance of above average temperatures. And then even taking a look at the 2-week temperature outlook, the 8 to 14 day here. So this is February 13th to February 19th, and this is also highlighting for Michigan a greater chance of above average temps. And the average temps are already starting to increase, so we have now officially passed what is the coldest time of the year technically, but average towards the middle of February sitting at about 30 to 31 degrees, so above average essentially does put us above freezing. So that is why I do think 30s will be more of the norm as we go through the middle of February. Now, of course, it is still February, so the last 10 days of the month, that remains to be seen. However, I don't think we'll really just be quite in the deep freeze like we were these last couple of weeks. So that's where temperatures currently stand for the longer range. And also just checking in here on the Facebook live stream too. Looks like Terry saying it's been snowing here in Pinconning for about 1.5 hours. Started very light and it's gotten heavier now. Thank you, Terry, for the report. Definitely appreciate that. It's always good to have just that ground verification here because, of course, the dry air is fighting with some of that snow today. So at times the radar may be overdoing the coverage just because some of that snow wouldn't be fully reaching the ground. But good to have that ground report of the snowfall. But really, again, from here, if you do have any sort of travel that you're doing for today, just with these snow showers coming through, I'll go ahead and pull the radar back up for you too. Just keep in mind, you may need a little bit of extra time, especially if you're traveling on more secondary roads or roads that are less traveled. However, if you're going to be traveling on some main roads, some freeways, anywhere that's treated with temps in the 20s, those should really just be wet more than anything else. Maybe a little bit of slush on the side of the road, but I wouldn't expect roads to be undrivable by any means here. So really just, again, tracking this light snow, and there you are on the radar again. There will be some breaks in the snowfall towards lunchtime or maybe around 1 or 2 o'clock even, because you do see that area on the west side of the state where we do have sort of this break or this hole in the snowfall, and that is going to kind of plague the snow, if you will, even throughout the afternoon, so the coverage will be a bit more broken, especially through the second half of today. Again, those totals just coming up to about 1 to 2 inches when we combine both today and tomorrow's snowfall. That's all that I have for you this morning for our First Alert weather show. Meteorologist Stone Schaefer, he'll be right on TV5 on air at noon, coming up here in just over an hour. So he'll have another look at the radar and some of those traffic conditions too. And then he'll also have another First Alert weather show on all of our live stream channels coming up at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So be sure to check in with Stone over the course of the middle of the day, especially if you might have any errands to go run later on. But in the meantime, have a great rest of your Thursday morning and stay safe and stay warm.